signal processing, and he is expert in biomedical signal processing. So every individual should take a tag. Whatever that's where you have freedom also. Okay, whatever you find interestful to you, see enthusiastic students, motivate them, catch hold of them, find out what is the way which jointly you can work out, maybe their BTech project or something in combination to them. Give enough freedom to them. Tell them that your failure is acceptable. That's the first point. In research, failure has to be acceptable. Otherwise, you can't do research, right? Okay? Your failure is acceptable. Your marks will not suffer. Your efforts only will be appreciated. Then definitely you find quite a good number of people will be coming out. And one more thing I want to share, not out of my talk, but since while introducing IE, what Dr. Kamaraju has shared, let me share my experience. When I was in NIT Warangal doing my undergrad BTech course, we were having 14 clubs in our college. Okay, photography club, ISTE, IEEE, IETE, whatnot, different clubs. So each club will be having their own activities. Apart from these clubs, what we notice, our seniors, super seniors and all, when we were in what is called first year, every week they used to conduct what is called C test, aptitude test, that test, this test and all. The C test, what they conduct will be very complex in comparison to the C course that they study. Okay? Maybe I believe this is the main reason why these maybe in NITs and all those universities they become more suitable to software development. See, who will be hiring these BTech graduates in NITs and all is the software companies. Okay, in BTech so what I believe, you can form small special interest groups in your college. As a lecturer or assistant professor and a professor, you definitely have some power. Just name one club. Let's say you keep interest in electronic hardware. There was a club in NIT Warangal where I did my undergrad. That club is called Hardware Hobby Circuits and Ham Radio. Some of you might be knowing Ham Radio is something like open source in Linux, like Ham Radio is there, which is also like open. You can use some frequency band and communicate across the people on the globe because it runs on a skywave propagation. Okay, so like that, if you keep interest in, let us say, MATLAB based algorithm, then you form a special interest group in signal processing, special interest group in software. So what you do under this special interest group, you find the third year, final year students or MTech students who take up a regular activity every 2 weeks. What they do, they conduct a small test, a kind of test, and they announce who is the best, maybe monthly once or quarterly once, something like that. Let this be a continuous practice, even though beginning 2-3 people will join. So what happens with this practice, the persons who are actually taking up this responsibility will definitely have to fully learn, because when he has to prepare a complex question paper in C programming, he needs to thoroughly check the question and answer and search in the web. Okay? And interested participants will be having a lot of, their confidence level gets elevated like anything. Okay? So what I'm trying to say, forming these kind of special interest groups or clubs is very important. And I believe IE is doing its job today by conducting this kind of event. It's not that I'm speaking something great here, but point is that it could gather this much big number of audience. It's a really good thing that I see. I remember a couple of weeks before in my company there was a event which is called for which is on latest technology trends in system Verilog. Okay, so hardly there were 10 participants. Okay, so maybe it's good. I should now travel more and reach other cities and all. There will be more interest. I don't know. Okay, now let's go back to this topic and let me iterate again why I'm talking about the qualitative. Okay, I go back to the example which I started with. The example is like this. I can probably expect answers also from the maybe few students and maybe young academicians here. Can you explain what is the potential barrier in a PN junction? We draw diagrams, right? Okay. The most important thing, an important quality for engineering education is every diagram you draw, you should be able to physically understand its significance, or you should feel it. You should be able to explain its practical implementation of it. Okay. Yeah. All of us, PN characteristics diagrams we have drawn that, right? PN, there will be a line like this called barrier for hole, barrier for electrons. What does it mean? What is that line? What is the x-axis of the line? What is the x-axis of that PN curve, that potential barrier? Sorry? X-axis is what? Huh? Distance, correct. What is y-axis? Energy, correct? Now you explain what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's say, okay, I think there are quite a good number of correct answers. Really, I appreciate this. So you have a hole. Hole is present in the P region, but if the same hole has to reach the N region, it need to acquire more amount of potential energy. So the graph that we are showing is something like the hole need to acquire that much of potential energy, then only it can go to that region. It is something like, it has to climb from this place to, hole is here, and that is the N region, and it has to acquire the potential energy to go there. So it's a potential energy that need to acquire. So it's important, if you know it's really good. What I'm trying to say, this kind of interpretation of every graph, every curve, if you can do in signal processing, image processing, you can definitely understand any damn IEEE transaction paper. You can write such kind of paper, you can do research also. See, I think most of us, even I remember my early days of my career in 2002, 2003 and all, when our bosses say, because you have to implement this algorithm for ladder, that algorithm is what? The first line will start with some equation. Now equation will have f superscript x subscript something. What does it mean? Understanding equations, understanding graphs with practical significance is a bottom line of engineering education. Okay? In engineering education, if that element is missing, probably again I don't know. We have to find some non-engineering profession for our students. They can't do engineering profession. Okay? And definitely it is not possible for research. Okay? Anyway, I got a couple of examples in the direction we discussed. Can you go to next? Okay? Now, because I started with the signal and image processing, there are 3-4 slides which are very basic. But since I have kept, let me explain them. What is signal? Signal could be a variable which is changing with respect to another variable. An example could be voltage output at the tip of the wire with respect to ground. I will discuss further on this when next I have to talk about a Gaussian distribution or something like that. Okay? Then second, an intensity of a light along a line. Let's say you take a line here. Okay? Now along this line, what is the light intensity? That could be a signal. Then energy of the signal along the frequency axis. So not many times we draw what is called spectrum of FM, spectrum of AM, that's a signal. All these are signals. Okay, go next. Now signals can be multi-dimensional, isn't it? So signals can be one-dimensional. The example which I said, you have a wire. Let's say in a circuit lab, you are working on some circuit. Because it's some kind of circuit, it's generating a noise. Now that noise is at the tip of a wire. Now that's a signal. But what kind of signal it is? It is a time domain signal. Because you are characterizing that what is the voltage across the tip of the wire against the time. Now, what is the voltage? 1 second, what is the voltage? 2 seconds, what is the voltage? 3 seconds, what is the voltage? That is what x-axis time, y-axis voltage. Now that is a noise signal. Okay, if it is a noise signal, got it? That's called time domain signal. Now, 2D signal. Now, whatever, let's say you are seeing an image here, is a 2D signal. Now, why we have to talk about 1D, 2D, 3D and all? Because what is our theme of today's seminar? We should be able to implement signal and image processing algorithms on hardware and platforms. Then we should be very clear about how an image and signal will be in your hardware platform. Let's say you are implementing an ARM signal processing algorithm. Inside the ARM, how an image can reside. Inside an FPGA, how to take a video. That we should do. That's why I am trying to nurture at the fundamental level. So a 2D signal is something like this. Okay, what does it mean? You have two dimensions x and y. X 50 pixels, let's say y 100 pixels. At each x and y, what is the level of intensity?